Also, some new reporting into how the Trump administration may tackle civil rights. President-elect Trump picking Harmeet Dillon, that is a lawyer and former vice chair of the California Republican Party, to lead the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. And joining us to break down the impact of this election, we have Katie Phang, attorney and host of MSNBC's The Katie Phang Show, and my really good friend to whom I go for all these questions. So here's the deal. Dillon was among the most vocal supporters of Donald Trump's 2020 false election claims. Also ran for chair of RNC, right, on a platform of voter suppression. What does this signal?
It signals bad news for all Americans. And it's interesting because I just spoke to Maya Wiley about this particular issue on my show. And, you know, the emphasis that Maya has and that we should have, Alex, is that the DOJ's Civil Rights Division is supposed to represent all Americans. It's the idea that your vote is supposed to count. It doesn't make a difference who you vote for. You should be able to have access to vote. And when you have somebody who not only peddles a known lie about the outcome of the 2020 election, but then also makes it a priority for voter suppression, you have to be concerned about the direction of the DOJ. So the DOJ Civil Rights Division just doesn't handle voting rights issues. It's supposed to fight on behalf of American citizens to ensure that their voting rights are protected. And so I sadly foresee a 4-year suspension of any type of advocacy on behalf of Americans when it comes to voting rights.
So what happens? I mean, are civil rights organizations like the ACLU preparing to push back? Because tradition holds that someone in this position is charged with doing exactly what you say. It is civil rights of all Americans. So do we expect a lot of pushback here? Can there be lawsuits?
Yes, and that's the reason why people should really sit down and look at organizations like the ACLU and appreciate what they've been doing. So it hasn't just been, let's gird ourselves and prepare for what's happening. They've been fighting since even the first Trump administration. For example, the ACLU has led the battle and won many wars when it's come to the Muslim ban and the draconian immigration policies that were a part of the first administration for Trump. Now they're actually preparing already to deal with how to buttress not only the states' rights, that are certain states like California, for example, that are preparing to make sure that certain immigration policies that are enacted by Trump do not affect the residents of California. But they're also getting ready to make sure that when certain rules are promulgated by the DOJ and the Civil Rights Division, that they still sue and they go to the courts to make sure that people's individual civil rights are protected. But it's not just voting issues. It's LGBTQ plus issues. It is the ability for women to have accurate and fair representation. It also deals with things like consent decrees. So after Michael Brown, for example, in Ferguson, the DOJ came in and said, I detect a pattern and practice of violation of people's civil rights, and specifically people of color. And so the DOJ comes in, they conduct an investigation, and the Civil Rights Division says, from now on, if you want to be able to continue to operate as law enforcement, you have to abide by the following. You're not going to see that under this DOJ.
What about civil rights investigations against police departments? We all recall during the Trump first term, those were done away with. Is that expected to happen again in term 2?
Yes. And what's even more concerning is it's not just the lack of inaction by the DOJ in terms of doing those investigations, Alex, but then it actually transcends to, are we going to weaponize the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ and maybe go after the organizations that speak of DEI? Harmeet Dillon has declared war on DEI. She has said that corporate diversity is a horrific thing and has embraced the idea that when she goes into DOJ, it's to make sure that DEI, which is a bad word for them, even though they can't define it, that is something that they're going to do away with. So my concern as well is it's not just we're going to ignore the bad cops. We're going to actually go after the good agencies, those that are embracing DEI and trying to make sure that there is, again, fair and equal and accurate representation of what the community looks like when it comes to how they're dealing with the community at large.
Okay, let's switch to the United Healthcare CEO killing and to the defendant and his choice of attorney, a defense attorney. This is a former Manhattan assistant DA, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, very powerful, knows every corridor, knows every which way to work in the system. What do you make of that choice of a defense attorney?
He's picked a spectacular criminal defense attorney. That being said, my very first question is, who's paying for it? My question is it his family that's paying for it? His family that had no contact with him after all of this time and then reported him missing after a while and now is doing it. So I want to know who's paying for it. But beyond that, it's great that you have a good criminal defense attorney.
Sure.
But what is the strategy? Is it going to be, I'm going to enter a not guilty plea and I'm going to try to suppress all the evidence that was found on me? Am I going to enter a guilty plea but try to say that there was some level of incompetence here so I can't? I mean, it's a little complicated. It's still preliminary, but the retention of a skilled local attorney who knows the ins and outs is a good sign if you're a criminal defense lawyer.
Okay. I always question it. We don't have to answer it now, but when you have videotape chronicling the crime, good luck with that.
Suppression, maybe that's the only way you go with it. I don't know.
We'll see. All right, my friend. Thank you, Katie.
Happy